So you're going through the Dragon's Tooth. As you get to the very end of it, you turn the corner and you just see the most remarkable living room trapped in, I feel like, as a time capsule. I've never been in a space like that.
We spent probably the better part of 6 months in this very room as a vacant lot, just lying in the grass up here, watching the motion of the sun and how to make this house live. Well, my name is Donald Joseph Gaspard. The house was built in 1967 by Egon F. J. Winkens.
So I first visited Seaview Lane in Mount Washington, 5 or 6 years ago, before I moved back to Los Angeles full-time. I was living in Austin, and I was driving back up Seaview Lane, and just there's architecture everywhere. And so I saw the Don Gaspard house by Egon F. J. Winkens. That was the trellis, the entry trellis that caught my eye, because it's sort of anonymous from the street. It's a garage and can't really tell what the house is, big tree. But the trellis was really remarkable and kind of drew me into the home. And so I just pulled over and went up and knocked on Don's door and had a brief conversation and asked him, who was the architect, and he told me, and I went back for a visit later and he gave me the full tour.
Well, it all started when I was born across the street, and I was raised there. It wasn't until I was in medical school that the parents gave me the lot that this house is now built on. It used to be a cow barn during the Second World War. After I got out of the service, I was looking for a place to live, and I saw one advertised in Lakeshore Avenue, and I went over and looked at it, and it was a really authentic tea house. And so I leased it and got to know the owner, who turned out to be the architect for this house.
Egon was a German architect who came here to work with Richard Neutra, and according to Don, the homeowner, he had attained some level of success in Neutra's office, but there was some familial nepotism going on, and Dion Neutra and Egon didn't really get along. I think Dion may have been threatened by Egon, or for whatever reason. Well, it was clear, Dion was the heir apparent to the Richard Neutra firm. And so Egon realized that there was kind of a glass ceiling, that he was not going to be a partner in that firm.
Egon was a very good architect, I think. He built this house. It was the only house he built in the United States. And it was submitted to, I think, a contest in one of the Scandinavian countries, and he won it. And that gave him a boost up. He finally ended up being forced out of that work environment, and he went back to Germany with his family. He had 2 young kids. I think they were about 5 and 8, something like that. They had very German names, and they were pretty salty little characters. One was named Falco and the other was named Zeno. And one of them is today an architect in, I think, one of the Scandinavian countries, and took out after his father. And I never have seen him since they left the States, but I'll bet you he's a good architect. Well, my wife and I were married for 42 years, and she passed away in 2007, having had a heart attack. There's a lot of her in this house, obviously. The door hardware was picked by my wife. She wanted to have a Ming Dynasty red door with brass hardware, and that's what we had. We still have it.
You enter into the home, and if you decide to go right, which is what I would suggest, you're gonna enter into this space called the Dragon's Tooth. As you walk through it, you're gonna be met with different perspectives. It's not a true one-point perspective. You're walking through and seeing these big walls of glass that give you views to the exterior, so you're constantly connected to nature in that way. The beams go across, but they don't go across in a perpendicular way, they're slanted. So you turn the corner and you walk in and you see the lava rock, but more importantly, you've got this sunken conversation pit. These were just different times. Like, this was a time where there were no cell phones. I could see myself grabbing a drink with some friends and sitting down there and talking for hours. It was a space specifically to capture these conversations, and if these walls could speak, I'd love to hear some of the conversations that were happening.
It wasn't really completed for about 2 or 3 years after the house was occupied. It was just a big cement hole in the living room. People used to kid me and say we ought to fill it with water and put some piranhas in it and have them feed off the guests. But once it was built, it became very popular, and I think it was pretty much a cultural thing around the town. I think we saw a lot of conversation pits. People loved to sit in it, and I think we all just sort of grew into liking it, and we preserved it in the final drawings. The siding in here, which, if you notice, there are no fasteners that you can see. Each strip is individually nailed, and it provides a sound deadening effect for one, but it's also, I've never seen another interior wall designed like it. It's my favorite showpiece. If you notice, the room we're in, it's separated from the house by the Dragon's Tooth behind me. It served a purpose of separating the pool from the west wind, which comes up every afternoon and cools it off, but it also puts a lot of leaves in the pool.
So when you're in the den, there's something special going on that you probably can't fully experience until you go to the outside. But if you were to go to the outside, there's this sunshade device, wood cantilever member, that cantilevers all the way around the building. And there are no columns. So you're looking at it and it's totally cantilevered off the walls there. But when you walk around the building, as I did, and you're just exploring, you're realizing there's no columns, there's no structure here. It's really just hanging off the wall there.
What I think is interesting about Egon, his architecture really reminds me more of Schindler's architecture than Neutra's architecture. And it goes back to that quote with, Julius Shulman supposedly saying, someone asked him why he chose Raphael Soriano, and he said, when you hired Neutra, you got a Neutra. When you hired Schindler, you didn't know what you were going to get. And when you hired Soriano, you got what you wanted. Schindler was very playful and was always experimenting, where Neutra, he had sort of that formulaic international style look that you can tell, look at that house, that's a Neutra. Where you look at Schindler, you can't really tell. And this house is sort of like that. There's that Japanese influence on modernism. There are kind of expressive folded planes where the roof folds down and becomes a wall. There are fins, there's the lava stone fireplace. It's a kind of an unusual plan, the way the main living space is separated from the kind of bachelor party pad living room by the Dragon's Tooth art gallery hallway. And so the form is very unusual. It's not completely orthogonal. There are really irregular angles and forms. And I think it was that's why I think of Schindler, because he was obviously really playful. He didn't do sort of some of the moves that you would expect coming out of Neutra's office.
What's his name, Shulman?
Julius Shulman.
Julius. He shot this house the day it was finished. And I never knew it until somebody showed me this portfolio of those pictures. He wanted to see the house stand for another generation. In his little comment about this house, he thought that he hoped that it was still standing some 50 years later. So I owe Julius a kudo too. Well, I think it's safe to say my son and his family will never move in here, but I would like to see it live another day from somebody who really appreciates what we tried to do in it. So I'm looking for a steward, I guess, is the short answer. Some guy like Brian Linder.
I'm saving up.
Well, if that's what it takes, then let's do it.